8, week 1 for the Big Ten, coming to you live from the Brain household. We've got 5 games to pick for you. Right now on the season, he's 8-7. I'm 12-3, hoping that he can improve his record to actually compete with me for once. But we have 5 hopefully interesting games for you. Week 1.
So just to interrupt here, Jericho has suggested that if he wins this season by 10 games or more, we're changing the name of the podcast from the Preacher and the Prodigy to the Preacher and the Pro. And I don't know about that, as they say on Saturday Night Live. I don't know about that. But we shall see. So you're right, it is week 8 and week 1 for the Big Ten. So let's begin in the Big Ten. We're going to have one of the early games here to discuss. It is the number 8 team in the country,
Penn State Nittany Lions, going at that very exhausting Indiana team. Penn State's a 6-point favorite. What is your take on this game?
6 points for Penn State on the road. Now, everybody should be aware. I kind of have a crush on Indiana right now. I think Michael Penix is going to be a good player. But again, with everything we've said about the college football season being still in force, we don't know who's going to sit out, who's going to play, what's going to happen. It's just really hard to say any of these games in week 1. We're just sort of taking stabs in the dark here, what's going to happen. I like Indiana, but I'd be inclined to take Indiana at -10, or +10 rather. I think Penn State wins this game by a touchdown. I think the final score here, I think it's going to be a pretty high scoring game despite the loss of Journey Brown. I think this is going to be a 34-27 type game. I'm going to take Penn State to win and to cover.
Okay. I would take, with both teams having pretty good running backs, even with Journey Brown leaving Penn State, you got Ricky Slade at Penn State, and you got Stevie Scott at Indiana. Both teams are really good at running the ball. I'd still have to take Penn State, being what they are. James Franklin always gets the job done. Sean Clifford, hoping to see a breakthrough season for him. And that Penn State defense, even with the loss of Micah Parsons, still going to be really stacked. Indiana's got a lot of talent. Michael Penix, Steve Scott, Watt Fillier. But even at home, I still see Penn State and the Lions covering and winning this game.
I think it's going to be a fun game to watch. I think there's going to be a point in the game where Indiana's up a touchdown, maybe 10. I think there's going to be a point in the game Penn State rallies. I think it's going to be great television, but we're going to both agree we're going to lay down those 6 points, and we're going to take Penn State anyway. All right, the second game, 2 teams ranked in the top 20. It is the Natty, number 9, traveling to Southern Methodist University to play the Mustangs. In this game, which is SMU is a 2.5-point favorite.
Yes, SMU is a 2.5-point favorite. Cincinnati has been Cincinnati has been showing that they are the real deal. Desmond Ritter and a bunch of other guys on offense, and their defense has been playing really well. SMU, after that insane year last year, Shane Buechele, Prochet leaving is going to hurt. But Brian Robinson, is that his name?
Could be.
I think. He is still there. Their passing game is still stacked. But I see Cincinnati with all the talent, ranked number 9 in the country. I think getting hyped for this one at SMU. I'm going to take Cincinnati covering this game.
I'm going to take SMU. I just think at home, there's some travel involved for Cincinnati. I don't know a whole lot about SMU. Did see that they had that fantastic performance earlier this season. I'm going to take them and give away the points to Cincinnati. I'm going to take the Stangs of SMU. All right, a game of interest here locally for us in the state of Iowa. We have the number 17 team in the country, the clones of Iowa State, on the road at the number 6 ranked. We're kind of surprised to see them ranked that high, but the 6th ranked Oklahoma State Cowboys. Oklahoma State has not played for a few weeks.
They haven't. They've been really missing a lot of good college football.
They've been moving up the rankings nonetheless with some time off. The line as we have it is Oklahoma State, a 3.5-point favorite at home.
I'd say Oklahoma State. I can't remember the time when they played. I don't know how good they really are. Iowa State showing they've got a lot of talent. Brees Hall, who I might think might be the best running back in the country. Brock Purdy still got it. Matt Campbell and their defense. Still good nationally, even though they're in the Big 12. Oklahoma State still got Chuba, maybe not as good as last year.
Spencer Sanders going to play in this game?
I think he might. Spencer Sanders usually does not put up a lot of stats, usually does not put up big yards, big touchdowns, but he is a key player for the Oklahoma State offense. Tylan Wallace, I think he leaves. Is that correct? Tylan Wallace leaves. They still got talent at the wide receiver core. It's going to be made a very high-scoring game, as it always is in the Big 12, but relative to the Big 12, this might be a really high-scoring game. But I take Oklahoma State maybe to win by a touchdown, maybe 6.
I'm going to take the Cyclones on the road. I think by virtue of the fact that they've played more games, they know who they are, they've got more experience, and Matt Campbell's teams usually play pretty well on the road. I think I'm going to take Iowa State to win the game outright. Iowa State is a confusing team to figure out in some respects, but I'm going to take them to cover, and I'm going to take them to win outright. So I'll take Iowa State. So we're going to disagree on that one. Game 4. We'll stay in the state of Iowa. The Hawkeyes. They too get on the bus and travel. They travel to West Lafayette, where we've got COVID issues for the Purdue Boilermakers. Iowa on the road, a 3-point favorite. Rondell Moore is back. Some questions at quarterback for Purdue. Somebody new behind center for the Hawkeyes. Who are you taking, Jericho?
I'm ready to see how Rondell Moore comes back after, his big season in, 2018? And then getting injured early in the season last year. I'm ready to see how good he's turned into a player overall. Not just has he gotten faster, has he gotten quicker. I'm just ready to see how good he is overall catching the ball, reading the defense, knowing where to go. The Iowa Hawkeye team losing a very good quarterback, one of the best all time for the Hawkeyes, losing Nate Stanley. Very conservative, very smart with the ball. My bad. Held like an Iowa record for most completed passes without a pick.
At 4.
At 4. What? No.
Just kidding. Keep going.
Yeah. Iowa team, their running backs or wide receivers are very good as always. Their defense, very fierce, very strong. Their defensive line still got it. I'm going to take Iowa. I'll take Iowa to win by maybe a touchdown or 2. I really need to see Purdue, if they want to win against harder teams, I need to see them play a lot more competitive and not just throw the ball everywhere they go.
I think that Purdue has the 2 best players on the field on Saturday. I think, in addition to Rondell Moore, I think George Karlaftis is an absolute monster. But I think Iowa's got the better team, in top to bottom. Jeff Brom, he's going to be out with COVID, but even when he's there, I think Jeff Brom is living large off of that Ohio State win from a couple of years ago. But other than that, has Purdue really been particularly impressive to you?
No.
To me, either. I think Purdue is an interesting team because of a couple dynamic players. But I think top to bottom, I trust Iowa in this game. This is a game that feels to me like it's going to go to overtime. It just has that look to me. The weather may not be great. It may end up, with like a funny 19-19 at the end of regulation game, something like that. I'll take Iowa to win and cover in overtime. All right, so let's go up to Minneapolis, where Michigan is on the road for their opening game of the season at the Gophers of Minnesota. We've looked at this one for quite some time. Minnesota opened at 2.5 points a favorite. The line has moved almost a touchdown to Michigan. Some places it's 3.5. We're going to go 3 here. A field goal favorite on the road in Minnesota. Let's have your pick.
And we talked about Michigan in our other podcast. Check that out if you want to see the Michigan preview for the season by us. But that Minnesota team, I'm ready to see if last year was just a really great year and they're back to normal 7-6, 8-5, not the incredible 11-2 they went last year. But I think Tanner Morgan still got it. I think Rashad Bateman coming back is a huge win for them. The running back core will be strong as always the last couple of years. Their defense, cornerbacks, safeties especially, I'm kind of excited to see how they play without Antoine Winfield in deep backfield. I think their D-line linebackers front seven really needs to step up against Michigan's potential really strong running game. If they want to stop Michigan, I would take, Michigan's weakness is their defensive backs, and Minnesota's strength, power is their passing game. I think that's really going to hurt Michigan. I think that Minnesota wins comfortably. I'll take Minnesota to take the points, and I'll take Minnesota to
win outright.
To win outright, yeah, by maybe 14 points.
Yeah.
Touchdowns.
So this is a heart-head thing for me. In addition to heart and head, I think my heart wants to go with Michigan. My head wants to go to Minnesota. I also have my eyes, and my eyes are seeing a couple of things over the last 48 hours in this, and that is that Minnesota may have a handful of starters, as many as 6, impacted by COVID and opting out due to other injuries. And also weather is factoring in. We're looking at snow traveling through Minnesota this week and this weekend. It's going to be very, very cold. So 2 weeks ago, I think when you see that Rashad Bateman opts back in and Ambry Thomas is staying out, you think, this is really looking bad for Michigan. I think I've come down from that a little bit. I think the best unit on the field is the Minnesota offense. I think the worst unit on the field is the Minnesota defense. And so it's a really tough pick, but I just think that Minnesota is going to win, by a couple of scores in the end. I think that Joe Milton, we have to be proven on this. You're looking at Joe Milton as a guy who completed 47% of his passes as a high school senior. We understand he's got great raw talent. He's clay you can mold, but he has not been called upon to lead a team in a game in a moment of consequence yet. He's been in mop-up duty and has looked okay, but not great. I think Michigan is going to try to run the ball with that stable. They go 5 deep at tailback. I think Michigan is going to try to test the edges with a lot of outside running, some wide receiver handoffs, jet sweeps, and reverses. And I think that they'll have success there. But I think at the end of the day, it's going to be too difficult to cover those Minnesota wideouts. Unless the wind's blowing like crazy, I think Minnesota wins. I'm going to take Minnesota as well.
So we agree on the last one. We disagree on Iowa State, and
we agree on 3. We disagreed on 2.
Yep,
I got SMU. You've got Cincinnati. I've got the Pokes. You've got the Clones. Or no, rather other way around. You've got the Pokes, and I've got the Clones.
So exciting week. Hope to see if he makes a comeback this week.
It's good to be back.
Yeah.
And so 2 more weeks, we'll have the Pac-12 as well, and then we'll be full go for about a month here before we start getting to conference championship games. Mm-hmm. All right, till next time, I'm the preacher. He's the prodigy. Peace.